Hey, welcome back to episode 65, the year of magical learning, short for you, long for YOMO. And today we have a book called Make Your Bed, The Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World by Admiral William H. McRaven.
Yeah, it's
Read this book.
he's a Texan, I think.
And he's actually a University of Texas alum. So
that's right. Yeah, that's where this whole his whole speech that he made famous was the "Make Your Bed" speech that he gave his commencement address at the University of Texas. I think it was UT Austin, right?
Yeah, UT Austin.
Admiral William McRaven gave a commencement address back in 2014 to UT. This was his speech. It was started off with, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. From there, he went and shared his 10 principles that he learned during his Navy SEAL training that helped him to overcome challenges, not only in his training, but his long career and then throughout his life afterwards. So this is his rules of how to be a knight, kind of book. It was an interesting, fun read. It was short, it was fast, it was to the point. It basically was like him laying out his core values, right? It's no different than us laying down, if we wrote a book that was about, be clear, right? The balance and the 7 core values of how to live a balanced life or something like that. This is his version of that. So my reflection title for this one is Values Are Forged in the Crucible of Life. What I mean by that is, as we both know, values are great in theory. We're inundated with values, philosophies, and ideas from the outside world these days. You go on LinkedIn or Facebook, it doesn't matter. You go anywhere, you're going to get blown up by guys like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek, Adam Grant, even us. Somebody out there is promoting some words and some ideas. They may hold it very true to their heart. I think Simon Sinek, his whole thing is about optimism in general. I believe in my heart of hearts that Simon Sinek really believes that optimism can change the world, right? And that's okay. And that's why people like Simon Sinek and, people gravitate toward people that know what they want and want to share that with the world, right? But that's the tricky thing about values, right? Those are just words until they become, like when Simon Sinek, I wrote a few quotes in here. I went on his LinkedIn profile and just started pulling off some random quotes from his latest postings. And he says, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. It isn't really vulnerable. It's
in your charge. So
Well, it doesn't, we don't need to debate the merits of these comments. What I was just going to read is like, the other quotes, a few other quotes. It isn't really vulnerable to play as an adult, but vulnerability is where transformation happens. The primary ingredient for progress is optimism. I could read those 3 things and I could say, leadership is a value that I care about. That sounds good. Being vulnerable, that's certainly, we hear that all the time from Brene Brown, from all these other people. It's all about vulnerability.
Is it good though? Right. It sounds good, but is it good? It sounds good,
right? And then optimism, right? Like that. All these sound great. Like, I mean, I cannot argue with any of these sentences and words out of his mouth. But as we all know, these are all just words. You can't really call them a value until you are tested in some sort of a crucible. When you have to decide, are these really your values? And those can only be decided out in the real world and how you live your life and the actions you decide to go perform. So for me personally, I feel like the best way to learn a value, what your true character is and what you really care about, is in those moments when you are put to the test that are the most challenging, painful moments of your life. A lot of times, is where I feel it's like I always had this visual in my head of, did you used to play Zelda on Nintendo at all ever?
No,
you never played Zelda? What the hell? So whenever Link, in the original Zelda on the original Nintendo would go, there was like 8 different levels you had to go beat Gandalf, the big wizard guy that's like controlling each one of these levels. Whenever you would beat him, you get this little piece of what they call the Triforce, and he would hold it up over his head and it was like boop, 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 and you're like, like, I feel like that's like a value, right? You go through all these trials, you go through this life, and then and then all of a sudden, like, you learned a lesson at the end of it, and it's like this little value you get to hold up, and that's when you can finally start to claim it as your own. It's when you solved it, you felt it, you understood it, and then you decided, I'm going to go live my life in a certain way, guided by this. And then that's when you get to claim it as a value. So that's what I saw and I heard from in this book when I read values, I guess, if you will, guidelines, rules to be a knight, whatever you want to call it. These are his values that were forged in the crucible of his own life that he learned throughout a long career of trials and ups and downs and tribulations. And these were his little pieces of the Triforce that he found along the way and that he decided to implement into his own life.
Right.
That was that's my high level overview. It's like values aren't really your values until they're forged in the crucible of life and you decide it becomes a part of you, right? Like, it's not just a word, it's not just an idea. It becomes a part of you through action and through reflection and through that cycle of pain and overcoming, and things of that nature. So yeah, anyway, I'd love to get your thoughts on it. And then the question I posed was, how do you plan to use your values to change the world? Because this is how Admiral McRaven's using his values to change the world, right? Yeah.
Right. So I like to add another quote to the list. Talk is cheap.
That's true.
And so if you say something, but you don't do the thing that you say, to me,
you're a liar.
It's meaningless.
Right.
So you say, I have this leadership, I'm a leader, but if you're not being a leader, doesn't mean anything. It's like I say, it's a lie. You are a liar. And so how can you claim that you are this or that? So you say, I am honest, I am honorable, or whatever values or virtue you want for yourself. If you don't do the values that you claim, how can you say you achieve it? It's not a value. It's
just an idea. It's not even a word. I mean, it's not real. I mean, it's just a
label.
Fucking word. Yeah.
It's just a label that you like to associate yourself with, but at the end of the day, what's the point of labeling yourself something if that's not really who you are? Right. And so you have to talk the talk and walk the walk. And the things that you do and you learn, you only earn the values by achieving it. You can't just earn it by saying, hey, right. Yeah. You have to go through the experience to understand what it means when somebody say, I am a servant leader, right? What does that mean to be a servant leader? What does it mean to be, taking care of the people that you're taking care of those in your charge, right? What does that mean? You can say a lot of things, like primary ingredient for progress is optimism. That doesn't mean anything to me, right?
Because the idea could spark a thought in your head, and it could send you down a quest to go find that next piece of the Triforce. And then after a long, hard thought, you could finally claim optimism as one of your core values if you go and fight for it and you live it every single day and you put it out into the real world.
So the only reason why I said that is because if I ask you, how is it, you can only recall what you've done to provide evidence that this is your value. But if you can't provide evidence, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, it sounds good. It sounds possible.
Right.
But is it really? I don't know.
I used to say before this whole journey with Amelia, and I've told you this a million times, do the things you hate the most first. Like, it was a value that I claimed to have, right? Mm-hmm. It was an idea that resonated with me. It was never a value that I ever applied. I never woke up every single morning and said, God, what do I hate? Actually, ironically, this morning, I just saw this lady on LinkedIn post something about the book from Brian Tracy called Eat the Frog. You know what that is?
Mm-mm.
The concept is doing the thing you hate the most first in the morning. Eat the frog. Nobody wants to eat the frog, but the first thing you do is get that thing off your plate of the thing that you hate the most. If people wish to be successful in their lives, they have to take immediate and necessary actions without overthinking too much. Eat the frog tactics should be implemented first thing in the morning. It made me think of things like eat the frog, right? Where it's like, do the things you hate the most first, right? Is eat the frog. I don't want to go to the gym, so go eat the frog. Do the things you hate the most first. Like, that was the thought in my head is when I would say these things. But the truth is, I don't want to wake up. I want to go wake up and eat the cake. Like, what's the cake, right? Like, the cake is I like to learn something every day, so I want to go read a book. Like, that makes me feel happy. I don't want to every day of my life fight, like having to eat the frog. I would rather eat the cake every morning. Let's start up a new fitness gym, because there's fitness gyms all over the place called Eat the Frog, right? We'll start up a fitness gym called Eat the Cake. Just do the exercises you like to do. As long as you're healthy and happy and, moving your body, like,
the thing is, to me, there's a lot of exercise that it energizes me, like dodgeball. You get to throw ball at people. It's fun. And the thing is, that's eating the cake for me. It's not, why should I eat the frog?
But the moral of what I was getting to is, like, I never lived those. I couldn't claim that as a value, even though I tried to, like, because I didn't live that way. Like, it's how you live is what your values are. That's your character, right? Character
but at the same time, your value is going to be something that you embrace and enjoy, but not embrace because you will force the frog down your throat.
Right.
And so to me, yes, you are walking the walk, but you only walk for so long, because how much frog can you eat
forever, and not just perpetually, but like, is there, can other people eat the frog forever? Like nobody, like if this whole
no one
world
can
was
do
about
that.
eating
No
the
one
frog,
can
yeah, no,
embrace the suck
right,
forever. They embrace the
right,
suck for, oh, I'll embrace the suck until I get to this or that, and then they
right,
stop. That's
right.
not a value. That's
Agreed.
something that is a temporary placeholder for you to jump onto the next thing. So it's not a value, it's not a virtue. A virtue is
Right.
what you are, right? If you can continue to do that perpetually until the end of the day, that's not a value. So you can force yourself to be, you know, grinding and eat a frog or whatever this you want to call that. That's not a value. Trying to, I mean, to me, it's silly, right? We want to say a lot of things. It's just because it makes sense doesn't mean that it's a thing you should do, right? They said the things that is bad for you, it's good for you, or whatever the case may be. I don't think that's the case. It's just an anecdotal, just because sometimes it's a coincidence that something's better that's good for you, or may not.
It's an ownership issue. Simon Sinek owns the idea of optimism is the primary ingredient for progress is optimism. I believe he believes that. And he talks about it constantly. He lives this way. He built the models around it. Like that's his piece of Triforce,
It depends though. I mean, to me, yes and no. So somebody could claim that, but not live it, right? He loved something, not tennis.
Right.
Right. But he plays tennis very well. So you think that he embraced tennis and he believed that tennis is his, his calling in life? Well, you read his autobiography, it's not, right? That's what I'm saying is, even if Simon Sinek really like showing people that he really believes it, deep down, it could be a different story. I'm not saying he doesn't believe it. I'm just saying, hey, it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you need proof to back that up, right? And I'm saying that I've seen enough of what he does in the books that he writes.
But if Andre Agassi had never had written the autobiography and he have never show you the laps or whatever, can you tell that he did not like tennis?
No, I thought he loved tennis. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, right. I mean,
you would say that's his calling, and he loved it, and he works on it every day, but only until he gets to the point where he breaks down and he writes the book.
Right.
Then you know that, well, it really he embraced it, but he didn't enjoy it. He hated it. And so to me, some people like embrace the suck, eat the frog, right? They do it very well, but that doesn't mean that is something they like. And to me, that's not a virtue, right? So something with like Michael Phelps, right? Well, if he loves to swim, if anyone who loves to swim, they're going to swim regardless whether it's competitions or anything. He just swim just because they love to be in the water. But to the guy who's really good at it, once he stopped doing an Olympic, he doesn't want to go swimming anymore. That's not a virtue. It's just because you forced yourself to be in that particular way of thinking. You embrace somebody else's belief.
Well, you embrace a goal. Like when you set a goal to win the most Olympic medals that anybody's ever won, or whatever. Like when he did that, his goal was over, and he was never swimming for health
for medals or whatever.
He was probably swimming to win 8 medals, like 8 gold medals. Like that's what he was swimming for, right? And when you achieve it, then you're like, well, what's next? That's why values are so incredibly important, is because they're abstract, but just concrete enough where you can go after them. You can say, hey, my goal is health, so I'm going to swim. But if you take maybe Michael Phelps' terms, that day-to-day goal of health, and into 8 Olympic medals, that could totally be an outcome. But once that is over, he'll probably just go find other ways to express his health value. You know what I mean? Like that's when you know it's a difference between a goal and a value.
So the reason why I want to bring that up is I want to make sure that you and I and everybody understand why we're saying there's a difference in terms of your values and your virtue. Your values and your virtue does not end.
Right.
If it's an infinite game. It isn't. So find the virtue or find the value that you want, right? And you want to claim it, it becomes a part of you. That's who you are.
Yes.
Right?
Every day.
A painter is not going to stop painting just because, I finished the Mona Lisa. right?
Well, they could stop painting if somebody took away all their paintbrushes and paint and all that other stuff.
They're gonna find new paintbrushes.
That's true. Yeah, they'll probably just use sticks or something, and
matches, and then use that to draw. I
Right,
mean,
right.
and that's what I would say. That's your value. A value isn't the same thing as a goal, right? A goal has an ending. A value does not. It's who you are. You just being it. You swim because you love to swim, or you love to have the health, or whatever the case may be. Then that's your value. And so value is one of those things that you have to be not only forged in a crucible of life, but it's life itself.
It's exactly what it's what we do. It's who you are. It's how you live your life. This guy lives his life by, it's important for him to get up every morning and to make his bed. I don't know if that is to express the value of cleanliness, or I don't know what the value is behind that, but I get the meaning behind why it's important for him. And then all the other 10 principles that he laid out of what's important, of how he showed that he lived his life and where these lessons came from, and how he continues to live his life going forward. Like this is,
it's about the actions,
right?
So overall, I think it's the action that counts. So making your bed, saying, okay, I finished the first step. That means if I took the first step, I can take the second and the third and the fourth and so forth and so on. And so that's, to me, is going to change the world, because you are creating an action. And values, it is built in actions. It's not built in thought. It's not built in words. It's not built in ideas, right? It starts from there, but it has to live in the actions.
I mean, they're both valuable. Like that's the other and crazy cool thing about values, in my personal opinion, is it's abstract enough that you can still use your creativity, right? Like you can still access that future thinking, forward thinking, like, okay, how do I turn health into action, right? Like what does health mean to me? Like it's not like winning 8 Olympic gold medals is a very, very concrete goal. Like there is no other way to interpret, I'm going to win an Olympic gold medal. You either win it or you don't, right? Like optimism, or, play, or something like that, right? These are all very abstract concepts that you can still access the abstract portion of your brain and your creativity, and then also access that task-driven, focus portion of our brain. That's why it's like the best of both worlds, right? It keeps you present in the here and now and focused on that next step and making your bed and, the next one after that, but also at the same time, dreaming of the future and how you could take this and turn it into something even more incredible and better, and live the life you want to live. I mean, like values,
right? Because once
awesome.
you find your value, you anchor your value as the reference point, and there's so many things you can do to achieve that value with different actions. Just like we're talking about, if your value is having good health, right? Swimming becomes a creative outlet to live that value, right? And so swimming will be fun for you, or exercise will be fun for you. I know we talked about Andre Agassi before, but Andre Agassi loves to play tennis now because it aligns with his value. Before, there's no value, therefore he hates it. So something, if you don't like exercise today, but if your value is your health, you're gonna love exercise.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can eat the frog, right? Like it's just
you can eat the frogs and enjoy it.
Right. Exactly. And that would be called eating the cake, right? It's like
eating the cake.
It's like you don't have to eat the freaking frog. Like eat the cake. Like
don't eat the frog.
It could be the exact same action. Like literally going to the gym could be one person's eating the frog and the other person could be eating the cake. It just depends on.
And it's the same activity.
Right. Exactly. So it's I would rather eat the cake. Like I guess if that's the case.
And that's my choice. Is I don't want to embrace the suck. Right. That's, to me, it's just not logical in my head. It sounds silly. Why are you making yourself suffer? Isn't life hard enough? Then for you to go, hey, I want to suffer. To me, there is more options out there for you to explore to get what you want. Success isn't the only way through the grinds and the suck, right? And eating the frog to get success. You can eat a cake and still get success. Yeah, so don't close your eyes and just ram your head through the embrace the suck wall and trying to reach success that way. Urge you to explore that before you take all these, I guess, quotes and whatnot and just blindly follow them without thinking, is that aligning with my values?
Agreed. Or if you don't know if it's aligning with your values, then figure out what your values are first.
Well, and join
yeah,
Clubany. We'll
right.
help you.
There you go. That's exactly the goal. Awesome. So question to leave for everybody, if you're watching, something to think about, ponder, is how do you plan to use your values to change the world?
Values. Put down your comment. If you have values and you want to show the people, the audience here, what your values are, put them down and tag us and we'll get back to you. If you want to know more about what our values are.
Not only that, if you do know how you plan to use your values to change the world, let us know, because that's what Clubany is we're going to give you a platform and an ecosystem to go try to do that and other people to go do it with. So,
and by the way, Clubany is a nonprofit. So
yes. Yeah.
So it's not like we're trying to sell you anything.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks for the fun combo as always. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
Yeah. Sounds good.